Hello princesses! Today I'm going to be talking about the Ordinary Serum Foundation in the shade 1.0N. This serum was very kindly given to me by my manager, who bought a bunch of different shades to try out and gave me one of the ones that didn't work out with her, and luckily enough for me it is a very close match. These foundations had a fair amount of hype last year, but I just never really got around to trying them out, and anytime I wanted to buy them they were just always out of stock, which made it really difficult. There are two different types of foundations. They have the Serum foundation, which is the one that I have, as well as a coverage foundation, which is meant to be obviously more full coverage. The Serum one is supposed to be a more natural looking finish. So the product description says, Serum foundations are lightweight, medium coverage formulations available in comprehensive shade range across 21 shades. These foundations offer moderate coverage that looks natural with a very lightweight serum feel. They are very low in viscosity and are dispensed with the supplied pump or the optional glass dropper available for purchase separately if preferred. The pigments used in the format are treated for a rich, highly saturated effect. These pigments are suspended in our proprietary spreadability system that allows pigments to look natural in the skin, resist collecting within fine lines, and stay on for longer. The foundations offer a semi-matte finish and are compatible with most primers and designed to work exceptionally well with primers offered from The Ordinary. This serum comes housed in a very little bottle with a pump top. It's plain in terms of packaging, but very functional. I have the shade 1.0N, which is very fair neutral. The Ordinary offers shade in multiple undertones, but there is no very fair shades that are marked as yellow or warm toned. 1.0N is a pretty good shade for my skin. It's a good level of lightness, but it would be better for me if it was warm toned, of course. I find this foundation applies best with a damp beauty blender. I found that brushes left my skin looking streaky and cushion puffs just absorbed way too much of the liquidy texture. It's important to shake the foundation thoroughly, as I have noticed that it tends to separate inside the bottle otherwise. This foundation provides really beautiful, natural coverage. It evens out my skin tone and it really does look like my skin, but better. It has a nice satin finish that can be set with a translucent powder if needed. I find that it doesn't really provide enough coverage for any of my scarring, but it does camouflage any redness or light discoloration really nicely. After 8 hours, this foundation tends to disappear into my skin, but it also clings to any dry skin, which is a little bit strange. I'm not a huge fan of the longevity of this foundation. My skin isn't particularly oily, but it really doesn't last long on me at all. The foundation disappears into my cheeks and chin almost entirely, but it also cakes up around my mouth, nose, and forehead. It lasts pretty well up to 6 hours, but anything after that starts to get really average. This is a really beautiful natural foundation for short-term use. It's not a product that I would recommend to princesses who have oily skin or someone who's wanting this foundation to last a long work day, because for me, in my experience, that's just not what it's suited for. I found that up to 6 hours this lasted really nicely, but after 6 hours it started to grade really quickly, and I found that my cheeks lost all coverage, like the tips of my chin, but then around my nose, around my mouth, and my forehead, which is bizarre because that's where I usually get oily, started to cake up and it looks really dry and it just looks bad. I do really like the finish to start with. It's really natural. It sets quite nicely, so you don't have to powder it if you don't want to, and you'll get a nice satin finish for your skin all day long. But it's just not good for a long day, and most people work for more than 6 hours at a time, and it's not a product that you could easily reapply. I think that the colour is actually really beautiful as well. I'm glad that it goes down to the 1.0, which is very fair, because that's definitely the shade that I would normally wear. I'm not actually wearing it today because I am a little bit tanner than usual, so it does look a little bit too pale, and I think it was the last set of videos that I recorded, or maybe the set before, that I wore it, and people did point out that my face did look lighter than the rest of my body, which is absolutely true. It did. It kind of looked like a little ghost face floating on like a slightly tan body. So I'm not wearing it today because it doesn't look good. And it's quite funny because like you can kind of see it a little bit more with such a like open shirt, but my neck is much more tan than like that part of the rest of my body. It's weird. but the foundation that I have on today, which is the Skin Food Nutri foundation, actually matches quite nicely, though I still have a little bit of like light reflecting that makes my face look a little bit pale, but whatever. So I am going to be saving this for use during winter in the hopes that the cooler weather will help it stay on a little bit longer. I'm actually quite far through this foundation as well, so I'm up to just where the ordinary text starts, which is about a third of the way through the foundation already. It is 30 mils, but because it has such a liquidy texture, I find that it absorbs into my products quite quickly, so I definitely don't recommend applying it with cushion puffs because the cushion puffs tend to soak up the foundation way too quickly and you can't transfer it onto your skin. A beauty blender is way better because obviously you dampen it first so it doesn't actually absorb so much of the foundation. But yeah, I definitely have found that I've used more of this than I normally would, so I might actually finish this one day. Who knows? I almost never finish foundations. But if you guys would like a winter update in June, July, then do let me know and I will tell you how this has been going. But thank you guys so much for watching this review and I'll see you next time. Bye!